The Buccaneers, who would have thought they would be 2-0 heading into their week 3 matchup against Philadelphia? Are they legit? Or is this team's 2-0 start a little bit of a fluke? They beat Minnesota week 1, 20-17 in comeback fashion. Minnesota's 0-2. The Chicago Bears, they just beat them 27-17, and they're also 0-2. Are the Buccaneers actually a team that maybe most of us overlooked? Or are they just a team that happens to catch a little bit of luck early into the season, and are they going to fall off? This defense, you already know, is going to be really good. They've played really well their first 2 weeks. They pretty much neutralized the Chicago Bears offense. Justin Fields played terribly. They were getting after him all game. And offensively, this team has been surprisingly good. Baker Mayfield, we talk about Geno Smith's comeback season last year, how he just came out of nowhere and resurrected his career. Imagine Baker Mayfield in 2023 having a Pro Bowl caliber season. Imagine if Baker Mayfield can continue to play the way that he has the first 2 games of the season for Tampa Bay against Chicago. He barely had an incompletion. He was 26-34, threw for 317, and was completing 76% of his passes. I've never seen Baker Mayfield look this efficient in his whole entire career. Even the year that he led Cleveland to the playoffs, he didn't look this good this early on. If Baker Mayfield ends up resurrecting his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would have seen it all this year. We've seen Colorado go from 1 win to potentially being bowl eligible under Coach Prime, and then Baker Mayfield, fam, turning his career around with Tampa, a team who most of us thought was going to be in the tank for Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I would have seen everything. There's no way you could have wrote this up in any script. I'm sorry. Who would have typed in the script, Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers surprised the National Football League? Because there's always a couple of teams, at least 1 or 2 in every conference, that come out of nowhere and make the playoffs. We had 2 in this conference last year. The New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, just like the Buccaneers, nobody was high on them. And they went to the playoffs. They surprised people. The Buccaneers, most people, why they sour over Tampa Bay is because of Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles has a losing record as a head coach, and he isn't really that great. Well, so far, it looks like he has nailed the hiring of his new offensive coordinator, Dave Canales. A large reason why Baker Mayfield and this offense have looked better this season than what they did last year up to this point is because of Dave Canales being hired to call the plays on offense for them. He spent the last couple of years in Seattle as the quarterbacks coach down there. He was a big reason why Geno Smith had that big resurrection season in 2022. He also was there for a good amount of the Russell Wilson years. Dave Canales, he's running a quarterback-friendly offense that's going to be easy for the players to understand. They're going to be running similar formations, but different plays out of them, something like that. Dave Canales is a really smart guy. The players seem to really like him, and he does a really good job at making things digestible for these players to be able to understand and making a quarterback-friendly system that looks quarterback-friendly right now. We haven't seen Baker Mayfield play this well in years. I mean, this is, his 4th team in, 3 years? He got traded to the Panthers, then he got cut by them, brought on by the Rams, and now he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You talk about a surprise story. I think that maybe Tampa Bay possibly could be a little bit better than what we initially thought. You look at their schedule, it's not really that tough. Yes, they do have a tough matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to tell us a lot about Tampa Bay. They probably won't win that game, but they play in the weakest division in the NFL. You definitely like their chances against the New Orleans Saints. The problem with the Buccaneers wasn't really more so talent. We knew that this team had talent. We knew they were going to be solid defensively. Offensively, you got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Rachaad White is a really good up-and-coming running back. The question with Tampa Bay this year was, how good play you was going to get out of the quarterback position and how this offensive line was going to look with several players starting on this line that are playing out of position. Tristan Wirfs is playing left tackle. He formerly played right tackle his first couple of years for the Bucs. But so far, everything is going along pretty smoothly for Tampa Bay. Their schedule, they're playing against the Eagles Monday night. They probably will lose that game, but maybe they could pull off the upset. Philly hasn't really looked as dominant as what they did last year. New Orleans, hell, if they can keep playing the way they did, I like their chances against the Saints. I hate the Saints. I don't like Dennis Allen as a head coach. If they had Sean Payton, I think the Saints would be a lot better. The Falcons, like the Buccaneers, have been a little bit of a surprise. Then you got the Bills, Texans, Titans, 49ers, Colts. So you got some tough teams in here, but for the most part, I think a lot of Tampa Bay's up-and-coming games are pretty winnable if they're able to continue the way to, well, if they continue to play the way that they have the first 2 weeks of the season. I don't really think this team is a fluke. We knew that this team was going to be really good defensively, and Dave Canales, it looks like him being hired as their new offensive coordinator, replacing Byron Leftwich, looks like a really good hire by Todd Bowles. And if Dave Canales ends up helping Baker Mayfield have a Pro Bowl season, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this dude become a head coach next year. I mean, Baker Mayfield was damn near out the league. People were talking about him potentially retiring if he didn't work out in Tampa Bay. Dave Canales is a large reason why the Buccaneers are having so much success offensively. And the Buccaneers, you know, maybe this team isn't so bad after all. Maybe they won't be tanking for Caleb Williams. And I don't think it would have made sense for them to do that anyway, because Todd Bowles is trying to remain the head coach. I don't think he would have wanted to tank and end up getting fired. Why would he want to do that? He probably would never get another head coaching opportunity. He lost with the Jets and he lost with Tampa Bay. Outside of even when they went to the playoffs, they had a losing record. So I don't think Todd Bowles is in the thought process of tanking for Caleb Williams, when what's the point of tanking for a guy who you may not be there next season to coach? You're just making the job easier for the next coach if Todd Bowles doesn't work out this season in Tampa. But the Buccaneers, man, maybe this team is starting to hit their strides. Maybe they made some really good hires on the staff, on offense. And Todd Bowles, maybe he has this Buccaneers team playing at a level that maybe they could potentially win this division. This division isn't good. There are a lot of mid teams in the NFC South. And if Tampa Bay keeps playing up to how they have the last 2 weeks, you mean to tell me you don't think they can win one of the weakest divisions in the league this year? Keep your eyes on the Buccaneers this year.